आप अब थोड़ा मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ, थोड़ा सा आजकल कि लोग जरा मुझे सिंपोजियम के बारे में बताएं, वो अच्छा लगता है। तो मैं क्या करता हूँ, तो उसका पोस्टर खोलता हूँ और फिर तुम्हारे को सिंपोजियम के बारे में क्या पता है ये सुनते हैं। ठीक।
Okay.
एक सेकंड, एक सेकंड, फिर तुम्हारे बारे में ना, फिर तो तुम्हारा शो होगा, तुम जो बताना चाहो उसके बाद अपने बारे में बताना। सिंपोजियम के बारे में क्या जानते हो अभी तक?
As far I know, based on the discussion with you, and I have also participated in last symposium, and this is a channel, this is a platform where we are taking opinions, experiences, field experiences, knowledge, wisdom from people from all over the world for the one of the most difficult challenge, which is dispute and conflict, and how based on our own knowledge, wisdom, and experience, we can come with some unique ideas and wisdom with which we can give some insight on this issue. So that's my understanding, because I feel that every researcher or has some unique experience, some unique knowledge to share, and basically we are trying to bring everything up in one platform through this symposium.
Yeah, because the thing is that basically the whole practice and the practices in indigenous people sometimes gets lost, and this whole concept that the modern methods of dispute resolution, specifically mediation, is the way to be. But I keep saying that look, the indigenous people have a purer method which has not been influenced by colonization and the whole court system and that
Mm.
what the colonizer brought in. So that's why we need to study it and look at it from the perspective that we have lots to learn. Everyone thinks we have something to teach. No, we don't have
Teach,
anything to teach. We have something to learn and lots to
learn.
learn. So that's
Mm.
that is the basic idea behind it. So basically, we started on 9th August with the inaugural address by Ken Cloke, and Ken Cloke is of course a world-renowned mediator. So in the description of the in the YouTube, there is the link to the schedule. So links to all the recordings are available on the schedule. So I mean, you can watch that because the people from all
Mm.
over the world, and I've up till now the discussions have been really interesting from
Mm.
all parts. I mean, I really enjoy. I've really found that there is lots that people have brought in, which of course people might not have known. So Hemant, now it's about you. Please
Yeah, but
tell us
that's
about.
the thing. Tribes has something unique because every tribe is unique in their essence, and they have a unique philosophy, and they have survived through a long time, and they have a journey we can learn from them. And basically, the thing is that we try to impose our ideas. That has always been happening. So, but we need to learn from them what's their wisdom, same time, since time.
Exactly. So now, Hemant, you have to
Ah,
tell us about yourself, and then you can go into the topic. I'm sitting here. You can bring me in if you want to, whenever you want to. So please.
okay. So my name, can I share my screen and then
Yeah, yeah.
send?
Please, please. But where are you right now?
Right now I'm based in Ranchi, it's in
Okay.
Jharkhand, capital of Jharkhand. Is it visible, my
Yeah,
PPT?
yeah. Just yeah, you can just share the thing. Slide.
Okay. So my name is Hemant Tigga. Post, I'm a doctoral fellow in Department of Tribal Studies, Central University of Jharkhand, Ranchi. And the topic of my PhD is I'm basically trying to learn from the culture of Uran tribe, which is one of the largest tribe of Jharkhand. And I'm trying to learn from their culture, from their traditional knowledge systems, that how we can protect our nature. Because while studying Urans, I came to know that they have some unique practices of protecting nature. So that's my topic. It's a comprehensive study. So this PPT is the topic is conflict resolution in Urans of Jharkhand. So I would like to move ahead.
But anything more that you want to tell us about yourself? I'm sure there's
More
lots
than
about. No, look, we have to know about
uh,
you. Where is Hemant coming from? His experience. I mean, more than. the fact that of course you are studying this, of course, is a very important topic. A little background about, I mean, where you studied, where you stayed, something like that.
Basically, I have stayed most of my life in the capital of Jharkhand, which is Ranchi. I have done my graduation in physics honors. Then I have done post graduation in rural development from Xavier Institute of Social Service, Ranchi. Then I have worked in many organizations. Like I got placement in Government of Gujarat in Tribal Development Department. There I have worked. I have worked in NGOs. I have worked in CSR. I have even worked in bank. I was assistant manager in Bank of India. Then I have this inner pull to learn and know about tribes because I belong to a tribal community. My father is tribal, but my mother is not. So he always used to tell us, "Ki you should know more about your tribe." And my upbringing was something which kept me somehow alienated from knowing my culture. So this has always been an inner pull in me. So this when I was in bank, I was looking for getting into academics. I passed some exams for it. Then this pull was very strong. So and I found this Central Institute of Jharkhand, Ranchi is the best place to study because it is in the heart of the place where all the tribal communities belongs, and they are interacting, and lots of things you can see, their culture, their festivals you can see. So that's in short. I am enjoying this study, and other than this, I'm also a writer. I run my blog. I write poetries, and I'm also very much interested in philosophy and spirituality. So I read lots of spiritual books. I've been reading Jiddu Krishnamurti, Osho, and from a
Interesting.
long time.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So somewhere in the whole thing, you are also going to read some of your poetry. So it's important. But when you talk about spirituality, there was a symposium I did in April on heart, soul, spirituality, and
Hmm.
mediation. So that's a
Hmm.
connection I keep making, so that if you get time, please watch some of the sessions. And Archana is here. She can say hi to us. Archana, you want to say hi to us? Archana, of course, is your colleague from
Yes, yes, yes.
the university. So
We interact on this.
yeah.
So
So
one thing from spirituality is I connect from tribals also, like because conflict resolution and this restlessness is always there in the modern society, modern community. So from tribals, they're from their life, from the simple life and their knowledge, this conflict resolution.
what I'm doing is, for a minute, I'm just stopping your screen. And I thought Archana can come in, just say hi to us, and then because her session is after yours. But
Okay.
let she's sitting there, so she should at least say hi to us. Archana, you want to say hi, and then we'll go into the session. Hello. My
You
problem
have to
is, yeah,
unmute.
lip reading. I have a separate session on lip reading at the end of the session symposium. Then we will learn how to lip read. Yes, Archana, you want to unmute yourself? No, so that video, put off your video now. We need to have see you also. Yes, Archana, are you coming with us to go through the session? Your video is off. You muted. But Archana came for the inaugural address, but of course that session was going on. We couldn't, I mean, have her introduce herself because she went off.
Sir, I will continue in this session.
Yeah. Okay. Just I thought you just say hi to Hemant, and then you can. All right. Okay. I'll put you on mute, and then we'll get you in later. Yes, Hemant, please. You can share your screen, and yeah. So you were saying something about spirituality. You were saying about the tribes.
I was saying, since I have been in spirituality, so I try to learn from those things from tribals also, because whenever I go to field and when I had interaction with them, I can feel that sense of um, satisfaction in them, and they are like very simple people. They don't need much. They are very honest in their. They have some values and morality in their culture, which they pass on also, which you can feel in their presence. Like in modern society, people are very restless. Why we are going too much to spirituality? Because we are restless people, because we don't have solution to our problems. And so these things also I try to observe and learn from them. Not very direct questions I can ask them, but by some means of communication, I try to learn those things also.
But is language a problem? I mean, do they have a different dialect or anything like?
Language is probably even Hindi. They are Hindi not they are saying Sadri, Urao, Kuduk languages there. Then Nagpuri language is there. That is issue. And one thing is also there. I think they leave it. Means they are not talking about it. Means I cannot ask them, "Okay, what is your philosophy? What is your worldview? What you
Yeah.
think of God and what is spirituality?" But while observing them, you can learn, okay, how they are in day-to-day life. Like what is spirituality? What is their philosophy and worldview? You can observe in their day-to-day life. Maybe I cannot ask them, ki, what is
Yeah,
these
yeah.
things for you?
Yeah. Basically, if they're not into theory, they're into
Not in
practice.
the theory.
Practice. Yeah, they're
They're
into
into
practice. It's a way of life for them. They don't need to even talk about it because it's understood. It's part of you.
understood.
That's a very important part that we have to bring out. But if you want to just press that slideshow thing, then it'll become a little bigger. Otherwise, on the mobile, there
I
will be
have
some.
already put it
Yeah.
into slides.
No, I can't see the slideshow. It's showing only the slides, not the slideshow. Yeah, that's the one.
Is it coming now?
Just 1 second. I think no, it did not come. Doesn't matter. You can go with it. It's okay.
Actually, I have done this.
I know you pressed it, but for some reason it didn't happen. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We can go with this. The only other thing is on the mobile it becomes a little small, but that's okay. That's okay. We can
Should
go.
I close it and then open
Yeah,
again?
please, whatever. But Archana, how was the session inaugural address? Did you listen to the whole thing?
No, sir. I just joined and then I had some other work. That's why I was not continue to attend the full session.
But you can watch the recording because Ken Cloke, obviously, what he says, his words of wisdom are really good. So please, if you get time, watch the thing. Yeah, perfect.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You know where to find the recording link?
Yes, sir. I am able to find the video on YouTube also.
Perfect. Have you subscribed to the channel?
Yes, sir. I have subscribed.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, Hemant, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would like to tell something about Uraons. Uraons are actually called also Kuruk people, Uram, and they belong to a tribal group and they lives in the state of Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, West Bengal, and also in countries like Myanmar, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Bhutan. According to 2011 census, 26% of the total population of Jharkhand is scheduled tribe, and Uraons are the second largest tribe of Jharkhand. And in India, also Uraons lives in states like Chhattisgarh, Bihar, West Bengal, Odisha, and basically they are known for as a farmer, agriculturist, and they are in their local language they are called Dhangar. Dhangar is one who is very proficient in farming, agriculture. Even when they came to Jharkhand, they bring this farming techniques in Jharkhand, and the then major tribe in Jharkhand, which was Munda, who allowed them to live in Jharkhand, they learned these farming practices, these very efficient technical practices in agriculture from Urans. So they have this reputation of being Dhangar, the one who is very good in farming, rice cultivation and all. So that is the one thing about them. And even now, whenever you go to field, you can clearly see the difference between the fields of Urao community and Munda community. And when Uraons came to Jharkhand, they have sacrificed a lot of their cultural practices also, because before coming to Jharkhand, they used to wear sacred thread. They were not eating non-veg foods. They were very pure in their practices, but because of historical reasons, some attacks on them, they have to move from Rohtasgarh fort, which was their earlier place. Then they came to Jharkhand, and Mundas, when they allowed them to Jharkhand, they asked them that you have to drop the sacred thread and you have to live like us. Munda were very much into hunting and they were very aggressive tribes, and they used to eat non-veg. So they asked them that you have to come and sit with us, eat the non-veg and become part of us. So but they have this constant cultural assimilation with them. Is now Urans has whatever whoever is the priest of the Urao community are from the Munda tribes, because Urans has only one god, which was Dharmes, which is the god of sun. But Mundas have lots of gods. Means they have gods for river, they have gods for forests and for hills and all. So Brahmins didn't wanted to disturb this form of their religious practices, and they adopted it like it is. But since they were not knowing how Mundas are practicing their religion, so they kept the Mundas as their religious priest. So it is now still now it is practiced. So these two communities, Mundas and Brahmins, lives in very close communion with each other, and they have very close interaction. So this I am telling because for understanding Brahmins we need to, I mean, know some history. And so Mundas also learn many things from, especially the agricultural practices. So this,
Yeah, it's important to get the background. I think it's very good.
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So now I want to tell why we need to study Brahmins. What is special about them? Why? Because there are many tribes. So why especially we have to learn from them? So basically, based on my field experiences and literature study and everything, I came to know that everything that Urans do is nature centric. Means it's not just a saying. We can see them in their practice, even their script, which is their language, Kuru. The letters are in a very anti-clockwise direction. So anti-clockwise circular concentric circular direction. Why is it that? Because they believe that their god has said them that the ways the creeper plants move in the trees, it is anti-clockwise direction. The same way we have to follow in our script, in our day-to-day life. Why? So that we never forget that we are that part of nature and we have no right to disturb that balance. So even whenever there is some function in their family, uh, people sit in this anti-clockwise direction, and when some new people enter, they keep they do this pranam thing, johar, which is called johar in here Jharkhand, from this anti-clockwise direction. So everything they do, even the paintings they wall paintings they do outside their house, they have this anti-clockwise circular directions. So everything they do has that sign. They never try to uh, go against it, because they know that this is the order of their god and they have no right to disturb this balance of the nature. So this practice is since the prehistoric time, and of their existence, survival and experience. Their survival and experiences are based on their interaction with nature. Their social structure, governance, and rituals are all according to the cycle of nature. Their fundamental practices are based on collectivism, and it is manifested on their respect for nature. The society and administration respect the collective decision, and nothing is imposed by all. So this is one of the things that they have a very democratic setup. Even the leader never try to impose anything. They represent a true democratic society. They have glorious history of protecting nature and natural resources. So they have this concept of power sharing in them, that every person has this say. And their philosophy, their Raja, even their king, which is called a tribal king, is not like the king who thinks that he is above them. He is a very down-to-earth, simple person who sits with them, who listens to them, and based on a very democratic setup, they try to come to conclusion.
But
There,
just can you just tell me again about the anti-clockwise in nature? What was that connection?
actually, according to them, their god tell that like the creeper plants which moves in the trees in anti-clockwise direction, in the same way it moves ahead. So the same way they have to follow the cycle of nature. Like in their script, they have the same kind of rotation. Then in their house wall paintings, they have the same kind of rotation. In the circle in which they sit in any meetings or in marriages or anywhere, they sit in this anti-clockwise direction. And if a new person enters, then he will not go and sit in somewhere in middle. He will go and sit by following this anti-clockwise direction. He will go and sit in the uh, last, like that. Or a new person enters, he will greet like in the same anti-clockwise direction. So this is something which is very natural to them. Once you go, you may not be knowing why they are doing this, but few people who are knowledgeable, they tell, because most of the people are not knowing why they are doing this. It is just a ritual for them. So,
But this, I think, this
so
democratic thing that you said, I think that's very important. We'll take it up later. I think that's really,
it is ahead. It is. I will discuss in
yeah,
detail
yeah.
in later slides. So their philosophy makes us imagine an education system, a culture, religion, a value system, a meaning system which self-prepare a sustainable world. Much of the unsustainable activities caused by humans are because of lack of these values. So their philosophy and values has some ingrained materials which makes their whole practices very sustainable. So through the environmental wisdom, they have preserved nature and through which the world can benefit. Everything that they know come from the traditional knowledge system, which is coming through their oral traditions. So they do not have any written account. Their folklore, their folk song, folk tales are all what they have. So when the world is suffering with climate change and global warming and lost the harmony with nature, Urans is still living in close interconnectedness with nature. So this is the one thing which is also very connected to my thesis also. Uh, how we can learn some possible solutions of global warming and climate change through their interconnectedness with nature. Their philosophy, religion, and spirituality is founded on the pillars of protecting nature, also reflected in their actions. So, as I said earlier, also I cannot directly talk to them about their philosophy, religion, and spirituality, but it is visible in their actions, in their culture. So, I would like to discuss something about traditional knowledge because everything that they know is coming through their traditional knowledge. Traditional knowledge, according to Oxford Dictionary, is belonging to a place, and the native knowledge. This is a sum total of all the knowledge that comes by living in a geographic boundary and in a particular setup. It is synonymous with indigenous knowledge and native knowledge, cultural knowledge. Every culture and society has their own set of unique traditional knowledge, and it is coming through a process of transmission from one generation to another, and relationships shared by living beings from one generation to another. So in them also there is this cultural transmission. They are learning from their ancestors, and this is transforming to them through a form of oral tradition, and because they have always kept this open platform open for this open-ended exchange. So they should not be assumed as a static phenomenon. This oral transmission and this cultural transmission is not a static phenomenon. Rather, they are constantly evolving phenomena. They include an open-ended exchange where the interaction during travel from one place to another. Even it has the effect of traveling from one place to another because they have been migrating from time to time. So this form of oral tradition, this cultural transmission is also changing with time. So they are in constant communication with the external environment. We cannot say that this knowledge system is stagnated. That's why it's very more important. They also implement their human creativity on this knowledge system with time to time. So this keep the fragrance of the community alive. So as I said, they live in very close connectedness with their environment, and we can learn from the traditional knowledge system. They have their own mechanism for conserving and sustaining their natural resources. They do not depend on external sources. They have their age-old tradition, time-tested value system, and community-based organizations they have, which works on the local platform also for identifying and solving problems. For solving these problems, they make use of age-old time-tested knowledge, and they have very innovative techniques because when they face the problem, they try to come with some they have to come out with very innovative techniques and solutions. Otherwise, they may not be able to solve it. So by this method, they have developed this knowledge system. So the one very unique thing about tribal communities is that they observe the nature very closely, and they learn from the nature, and that's why their knowledge system is very organic in texture. They have very minute observation of the environment, and they by their elementary reasoning they develop their working knowledge. These accumulated knowledge prepares an elementary understanding for the effect of all mechanical process in the surrounding, like the functions of heavenly bodies and their apparent movements, the properties of plants, fruits, flowers, habits of animals and birds, nature and qualities of soil, variation of weather, etc. So everything happening in the world, the heavenly bodies and the plants, fruits, trees, nature, they try to observe it very minutely, and by their reasoning, they learn from their surroundings. So, what is the speciality of traditional knowledge? Indigenous communities share a very close relationship with the environment. Therefore, the role of generating knowledge based on the understanding of the environment is important. They have established their own mechanisms for conserving and sustaining their natural resources, and they have developed with time their community-based organization, and which solve the problem at the local level. So as I said, they have these oral traditions, which is transformed from word of mouth, popularly known as oral tradition. They have their very huge archive of age-old information. These oral traditions are practiced in the form of folk songs, folk tales. Even in their festivals, they sing these folk songs, which is not just a source of entertainment for them. It has the knowledge, and they are learning from. They are the learning platforms for them. And even in their festivals like Karma, Sarhul, they tell these stories among each other, and which is their actually the source of information. From there, we can know what is their value system. So it is basically the encyclopedia of their traditional knowledge. Now, coming to how they practice it, because they have their own political leadership institutions which govern their control and natural and local resources, which is also called self-governance. They regulate and manage their affairs with land, water, and forest. They are also responsible for resolving the conflicts between families, individuals, and within communities. But they do not depend on external agencies and outside much for solving their internal conflicts. Various positions are delegated responsibilities based on the role. These people are responsible for maintaining harmony in the community, ensuring justice. They also has to peacefully manage the social events, rituals, celebrations, community events, etc. So they have elected members in the community itself who manage all the affairs like social events, rituals, festivals, and also the governance system. So there is the existence of village punch in the Ram committee, which is headed by the village elders. So and they always say, "I swear by Dharmesh, the God in heaven, and the punch on earth, such is their faith." Dharmesh is their God, and every time they keep the Dharmesh above all, and they always swear by Dharmesh. So apart from the village leaders, which are headed by the elders, mostly elders, so their main function is to resolve the conflicts in the community related to property, marriage, witchcraft, theft, assault, etc. Village elders are so elected that they could represent the entire community, so that there is no such thing as I am not represented, or anyone could say that they do not have the say in the community. So all the matters of dispute is presented to the Panch for decision. People place their complaints to village Pahan or Mathu, and then they forward the request to Panch. So they have this common place which is called Akhara, which is a huge platform which is mostly in the center of the village, where they gather for all these judgment. This is also a place for their festivals and their rituals and common gathering and songs and dances during the time of festivals. So Akhara is the place where they come together for any time for the judgment. So parties involved in dispute has to pay some money for the judgment to the punch. The disputes are solved based on tribal custom. In case of crime, they can inflict penalties, witchcraft, killing bags, greater punishments. Adultery, theft is punishable. They also have the cultural specific rituals for punishing. So they have this punishment system also. Even you have to pay some money also, if you for some of the crimes, uh, if you are found guilty. So they also have other punishment mechanisms, like earlier it was practiced like beating with sticks and like that, but it is not practiced these days too much, because when you are going too much strict, people go to police also. So they have very they have modified their ways of punishment so that people do not leave this system and go to police and all. Parha system is founded on the basis of protecting community from natural and supernatural enemies. So since they live in very they have to struggle with the environment to survive. So they have to come to some harmony terms with the nature. That's why they have developed this Parha system, which will guide them from above. It was modeled at the time of hunting stage for keeping local groups connected. It still exists and as a confederation of a number of neighbor villages. At the center of them is Parha Panch. So Parha is actually the confederation of many villages uh, who somehow they agree that they have this system and they follow by the rules. It has its soul being democratic and animist. The villages which are part of this system has specific naming like the Raja is there is one king village. There used to be king village from where the Raja comes. Then the name of the in the name of the position, the name of the village is kept. Like if the head is coming from this particular village, then it is also called a head village, and like that. So Parha system still works, and they have their gatherings, and they have this Murma Jatra fair where all the exhibition of this Parhas come. All the villages bring their exhibitions with colorful flags and their representations. This is very important for the representation. So every village comes with their unique identity and become part of this fair. This fair is also a kind of remembrance that we are together, and it is also remembrance of the history. The time when Unnao comes, they actually gather at this place with the Munda tribes, where they have this dancing fight. Mundas actually kept this condition to them that if you have to live in Jharkhand, in this place, which was not named Jharkhand at that time, so you have to we have to go through a fight, which will be a dancing fight. So it is said according to them that Rans has defeated them in this dancing fight. Then they were allowed to live in Jharkhand or in this place, and then Mundas moved to other districts, other places, and Rans settled here. So this is a kind of system with them where they do not means fight for them is not like with weapons and violence. So this is important history for them, and it's also important to understand the way they function. So they have very non-violence way of coming to conclusions. Like in dancing fight, by dancing fight they have settled their disputes and they have came to agreement that okay, now we will leave this place and we will shift to some other place like Munda tribes has done. So the villages in the Parha are named based on their uh, positions, as I said. Similarly, the Diwan village is there. Diwan is kind of prime minister in the Punch, and his Diwan belongs, and wherever the Diwan belongs, that village is called the Diwan village. Similarly, there are Tande, the clerk of the crown village, and then Kotwal village, and so on. The headman carries a bamboo sticks. Earlier, it used to be an iron spear with long bamboo handle. The Quran street doctor pillar also used single wood made of savai cloth, which is believed to have magical power. Every Parha village has their own specific flag exclusively for the use of that village and not to be used by other villages. The region of the flag also signifies the clan of the village. So as I said, they have Murma Jatra flag where they have the representation of each tribe, and there they come with their specific flag and their exhibition. And like that. So villages has their specific function. If the village is named based on Diwan or based on Kotwar or based on Pandre, then the village has some function based on those positions. So what is the function of Para? As I said, it was made at the time of hunting stage. It was for the maintenance of law, order, and settlement of disputes. and it has a common objective to protect villages from all kinds of human or non-human enemies, and each village work for the common objective. The common work of Parha is divided among villages, as I said, and the legitimate concern is to ensure the luck of the village, and there are taboo not to be broken for that. Marriage between Rao and non-Rao, sex is same clan and proper jatra dance, etc. So they have some basic rules, like especially the marriage between other tribes are not allowed. Then sex in the same clan, like that. Some these are very taboo issues for them. Then their titles are also named on some uh, based on some clans like Uran tribes. In the like Tigga, my title is Tigga. It is named on a monkey. Like that, the titles were kept on the names of birds and a kind of fruit or flower. So the clan which belongs to that particular group should not uh, anyway harm that particular. Like if I belong to Tigga, then I should not harm monkeys. If you belong to a particular bird clan, then you should not harm that bird. So like, and you have to protect it. You are responsible for protecting it. So if you do not do it, then that is taken as a huge mistake. Even marrying in other communities and other tribes is also forbidden. And not so they have this system. But earlier, this Parha system was made to protect them from human and non-human enemies, which was a bigger issues for them. Now they may not have such bigger issues, but so they use it for the inner conflict resolution and dispute settlement kind of things. The procedure of Parha Panch, the village where dispute happens submit their complaint to Parha Raja. They have this king, he still exists, his name is Simon Rao, also met him, I also interviewed him. So they can submit their complaint to him or the Diwan. Then the Kotwar is informed to spread the message in all the villages about the day of meeting in the village where dispute happened. On the day, representative from village assembled at Hadri, the meeting place, generally under a big tree near sacred grove. So they have this sacred grove because most of the Rao tribes belongs to Sarna. Sarna, they have their religious place, which is sacred grove, which has few trees, especially in Jharkhand. They have sal tree and karam tree, which is a sacred place for them. Even these meetings are happen in nearby these sacred places or under the some big tree which is sacred to them. When the punch is assembled, the kotwar spreads a cloth on the ground and Raja takes his seat. So the Raja, the king of the Uran community, sits in the ground with the people. He is not having some ego or pride that I am above them. So this kind of democratic uh, system they have. Even the kotwar sits close to him with his spear. Some panchayat members record the discussion and decision, and it is signed by the disputants. A fine is charged against the party accused. So this is a simple process in which the kotwar spread the message in the village. Then Raja comes and they sit in some big trees, and people all sit and they settle their dispute by listening to all the parties like that. They also have inter-Parha alliance. There have been association between different jatra for hunting. Now it is for discussing matters of common interest. These alliances are for the common good and under the pressure of common dangers. Their prime concern is to keep the tribal soul alive, to live and multiply, to maintain solidarity and independent existence, to avoid ill luck by attracting blessings of nature. A strong community-based self-governance organization based on democratic principles is the prerequisite for a sustainable community. So basically, earlier times they feel environmental threat, so they also thought that they should make this inter-para alliance which will strengthen their community. Even if there will be some foreign attacks or attacks from other communities, then this kind of alliances will help. Like in present time also, we countries make alliances for increasing and expanding their strength. So that kind of alliances they have from the ancient times. So I also observed that these kind of alliances is very essential for a sustainable community. So they are made for avoiding the common dangers or fighting with the common dangers and to maintain the solidarity and harmony among each other. Inter-Para alliance is very essential for strengthening the bond among different Para villages. They also have Dood Bhaiya village who claims to have old bonds since the time of ancestors or somehow shared a blood relation or milk relation. Now no new such alliances are formed. They call themselves belonging to some same blood and fight for each other when required. The association of Parha can be seen in tribal Jatra function during hunting or meeting of different tribal groups or discussions on common interest matters. So these alliances are also based on some blood relations. Also, they this kind of blood relation also strengthen their relationships, and now no such alliances are made. But earlier time is was formed, but it is maintained till late, and the solidarity and that connectedness can be seen in the regular processions in the whenever there is some processions of festivals or in Murma Jatra fair. So, ideal for a good man. Gurgaon community has a setup, a mind setup, and values setup and morality setup for a good man. How a good man should be, how they should live, and this is very basic to all of them. And this, I think, prepared them to make a very non-violent and peaceful community. So, according to them, the portrait of the ideal man is someone who don't harm or fight with others unnecessarily, and who is an important and responsible member of the community. They are not, they frown upon lazy people, means people who are not participating in agricultural activities, or women who are not knowing the field works, means women are not only expected to do the household works. Here women are very equally engaged with men. Ideal man means here man and woman both. So they expect people to be very actively participating in everything that is happening, the festivals, the cultural activities, the agricultural activities, the everything. They want people that active participation, and they expect people not to take control of others land and cattle, buy property, etc., and most important, not to get involved in black magic and witchcraft. They expect everyone to mind their own affairs and do charity whenever possible and be faithful for their promises. They expect their people to be honest in taking care of their lands, cattle, family, and community. They should abide by the rules of ancestors and their clan, village, para, etc. Ancestors has very important role in their community, and they have few basic set of rules set, and they never try to disobey whatever their ancestors said. Uh, Even whenever some food is made in some festivals or in home, the first grain is given in the name of ancestors, and they believe that even after dying their ancestors live in the same house, and they never leave the village, and they have their place. So they have their place in their community, and they never want to hurt them or make them angry, kind of. So ancestors has very high place in the community. They're expected to be welcoming for the people of own tribe, and they must stand and fight for common good of the community. So basically, they do not want to indulge in unnecessary fight and quarrels with others, and people, they want people to mind their own business and focus on the work. Uh, and they have some ideals for life. Uh, they live a very normal life. They're very honest and simple people, and they want to perform their day-to-day activities very consciously and mindfully, without causing much troubles and difficulty to others. And they want to be in their very present moment awareness. They speak very less, and whenever it is required only, they speak. And they are very light-hearted people, careless and easygoing temperament. They look very simple, very less complex, which is not very much seen these days in city people and cities and urban life. People are very complex and complicated. Those kind of complexities and is not seen in around tribes and people in villages. So they have a very life of very less resistance and more acceptance as an act of fate. The main idea of life has always been to live with good friendship with all around him, with man, nature, God, spirit, says, souls of the dead included, simple living people with least conflict in mind. So they So they have the place for the nature, God, spirits, and even the dead ones, their ancestry, very much different from what we see in urban sphere. Because we see people living in too much conflict, and they are very restless people. And these people are not like that. They are very simple, and they do not have much going in their mind. They speak what is in their mind. There's not such much difference. So which makes them very non-violent people. There are some changing scenario in the community, like the role of court and law and judiciary has came uh, interfering in the system, and it has been increasing in dominance. People are losing, not completely lost, but somehow the trust on Parha system has deviated, because there has been account when people say that we do not want to obey this rules of Parha system, and we will go to police and court and law, like that. And people are now also going to the court and law and also. So this is the scenario also now. And why Parha system or their traditional punishment system is becoming infamous is because they have some very strict rules, which is like expulsion from the village. Like if their clan has a system that if you marry someone from other clan, then caste or religion, then you will be expelled from the village. Now, because of this, because many people are living in the villages, other tribes, other religious peoples are living, and people are marrying in wrong community, also marrying to other clans. So earlier times there has been system of expulsion from the villages. So this is also a very major reason of their being infamous. Now it is not very much practiced. It's very rarely it is practiced, but it has been a rule earlier. I would like to share my some field experiences because I am currently doing. I have met the Parha Raja, whose name is Simon Rao. He is now an 88 years old person, and I have tried to understand through him what is this Parha system and how people have the faith on them, and his particular individual experience. So basically, he says that people have respect for his decisions, and they do not see anyone as comparable or as efficient to him. Even he is old and he has withdrawn his candidature to become Parha Raja, and he said that someone else should be made. But because of his honesty, simplicity, and his openness, because I have been with him, I have met with him many times, I have seen that he has this openness for anyone. He even don't remember name, or he don't classify people based on their uh, power and status. Even a district collector or a scholar or a villager, everyone is same for him. So that kind of democratic mindset he has. He do not have this mindset of differences in him. So everyone is same. So that kind of quality people see in him, and that's why I feel he has such respect in the community. And he has said his experience. He has revolted against government encroacher in the forest, and government officers try to cut the forest and sell the woods and like that. So he has revolted. He went to jail also, and he is always against the capitalist system, which tries to take land in villages and forest, and try to dislodge people from their fields. So like that, he has told his experiences, and I try to understand that the nature of Gurao religion, Sarna religion through him, and he said that basically nature, God is, they manifest the God. They do not use this word God. They use the word Dharmesh. So they manifest it through the nature. So by trees, he says trees. He means sal tree or karam tree. Like planting trees for them is uh, serving to God. Like that, he said, protecting trees in the sacred grove, or like that, he said. Very simple things he said, but it means a lot. because if this kind of mindset people, if people live with this kind of mindset, then I would say that it will make a better world. It will help us protecting nature and help us manage the climate. They have a very he has a very minimalistic life, and he do not have this need of accumulation or gathering. Even he never demanded anything from government. He got Padma Shri, but still he lives in a kacha mitti ka ghar. And many people, even from foreign scholars, comes to do PhD with him, and central government people also comes to him. But he still lives in the same way. He has dedicated his life to the people. People can come anytime to his house. His house is 24 into 7 time open. He used to also make medicine based on his traditional knowledge. Uh, People can come and take the medicine. It is kept open. Even the herbs he collect, people can take that also. Like that I observed, which was very touching for me. So this thing, I think I would like to end my presentation here. If some questions
I think that was
you
really
have.
nice. Yeah, yeah. Definitely questions are going to be there. Definitely. What I'll do is I'll stop the screen share. First thing I just point out, you said kacha mitti ka ghar. Let me just translate that a mud house, because
Mud house only.
people would not maybe understand that. But I think one important thing that we have to bring out, Hemant, is that in the punch and the in situation with the king, is there ever a situation where the parties themselves agree to something and a decision is not given? Because once the decision comes, then it moves out of mediation. So the focus basically is on this aspect where it is not a decision, but trying to get the parties to agree to something. Is there that kind of a situation that you discussed with them?
Actually, very case to case, he didn't discuss with me, but he said that I have interviewed him many times. He said that people used to agree with him, whatever decisions he comes out, because that kind of respect he has. Means people do not disobey him. Even in local, the state government people do not disobey him. He has that kind of respect. He has that kind of hold in all the alliances.
Because what we have to bring out is that one is that the people have a choice. So
Mm.
this is what he suggests, that this is the way you should settle it, and they have a choice to follow it or not, and they follow it because they respect him
Mm.
and they have to be part of the community. So if that is the situation, that's damn good, because that is then mediation. But on the
Mm.
other end, if they don't have a choice and they
Mm.
have to follow it, and he can actually impose that solution on them. That's why I put out that definition which I'm using for this symposium, that should not have the authority to impose a solution. So we just have to differentiate these two, because this
Mm.
becomes the important aspect if we have to go forward. Because you said with the times they're changing, and the people sometimes do not want to maybe agree with
Go to,
the person, and they want to go to court. So can we, I mean, one, we have to understand whether that exists. The other is then we have to maybe see how we can actually sensitize him and the punch, that you must try to help them reach a solution rather than you impose a solution. But otherwise they'll move out of the system and they'll go
Mm.
into court. So then we I keep saying every part of the world that then these people will not be relevant, and it's not good
Mm.
for them, because if they have to
Mm.
stay relevant, they have to change with the time. So how are you looking at this?
That I totally agree. But in this scenario where I have visited, means the present Parha Raja of Urao community, the Simon Urao, I think he is surviving, and he has been kept from long time. I think more than 50, around 50 years he has been, because of this quality only. Because he has that hold. Once people come to him, he has that successful way of coming to some settlement. He is also not a person who will impose, because he is very childlike person. So people know that he is not imposing, and people can openly say to him, like the dialogue is very open with him. He's not an authority figure. He is very down to earth kind of person. He can sit with a child. He can sit with the state government the same way. He's very deeply spiritual. He may not be understanding it, but he is. And that, so that kind of persona he has. So I feel ki if this kind of people can be kept for like these positions, then people will have this trust on this system for a long time. But if there is some person who is not that much impartial, then the system will lose hold.
Yeah, absolutely. Because finally, I keep saying that there was actually the conference that I did in May and June. The one topic was mediators as leaders and leaders as mediators. So actually that mediator mindset, look, basically I keep saying that it's the mindset, it's the mediator mindset. So that is what you're saying. This person has a mediator mindset and helps people actually. I mean, I'm just maybe expanding, I'm putting more words than you are using, but I want to use it because I still want to connect these people to a kind of a mediation, because we don't know really what happens. Maybe sometime you have to go and sit with them when they're actually trying to, I mean, resolve some dispute. Please go and sit with them and see how it works. Because if it is something where a discussion, a conversation is happening and they actually end up, look, one is suggesting. So the king is suggesting that, look, this is the way you should resolve it. It is good for both sides. So if that is happening, that's a very good system. So we should look at it. And if it's not, like I said, if it's not happening that way, then maybe we can talk to them, the punch also and the king also, that please look at it from this perspective. Like I said, then to stay relevant. So that part of it, maybe we can look at it. Because that's important to have that kind of a structure, because once they go into the courts, then that changes everything. I mean, that changes the structure of the community, the way they work together. So we don't want that to happen. So definitely but how, I mean, what is the history of the tribe and how long do they think they've been, I mean, been as a tribe on together?
You means in Jharkhand, Udaon, you were asking about
No,
Udaon
in
tribe?
general, as a tribe, how old do they think they are? I mean, uh,
I don't have much ideas about it.
I mean, how many thousands of years are we saying? Are we saying hundreds of years? That Okay, well, let's just put some pictures of the tribe.
Mm.
So, but these dances and all, but what are the Kuruk people?
Kuruk is actually the language. Udaon people are called Kuruk people.
Okay, perfect.
This is their language. They are Dravidian tribes, basically. This is the only Dravidian tribe which is living in this area. They have this Dravidian origin. Their language is Kuruk is similar to Tamil and Telugu, not to the nearby language areas.
So what we
So
basically
that's
need, yeah, what we need is one picture of the Raja also, so we can, for some time we will have a look. So perfect. So what?
didn't transfer. I have these pictures, but I didn't transfer all the field reports to my system.
Perfect. So what we'll do is at this stage, please, your concluding remarks, because then we'll start Archana session after that. And more comments you can obviously give there also, because only thing is, because on social media you have to start them on time. Otherwise, the Facebook thinks that no, this is not happening, so it thinks it's cancelled. So any
My concluding remark is I am still doing my field work. Means as you suggested, I should sit and with them in their meetings, and maybe that will open more findings for me. And when you asked me to give presentation that time, also I said ki I need some time because I'm going through it. So maybe in future I will come with more findings and more up-to-date information. And so far, whatever I have learned is very interesting for me, very enlightening for me, and as a person, and it helps me to grow. And very strange because people, it's very nearby, and I belong to that community. Still, so many things are hidden has from me and from the world. So I'm very fascinated to know more about this community, and as much I have learned, I try to share.
So basically, from the dispute resolution, specifically mediation perspective, please, we need more information. We'll have a discussion again later. We can have a discussion, because we have to make sure that we move towards that direction and mediation becomes a part of that. So Hemant, thank you very much for being part of the symposium. And of course, please sit around for Archana's session.
Yes.
So,